Before we start, do we mute or no?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the African Experience show with me, Dr. Hlami Ngwenya. You know when you hear that sound, it is the date that you have with me, Dr. Hlami. We have the show every Tuesday, 6 to 7 without fail. And the purpose of the show is to really bring very exciting, people who share their stories in an African way. And tonight we still have, that beautiful, beautiful show as we are celebrating Women's Month. Ladies and gentlemen, you know that I'm often not alone. I'm with my co-host, Aventina Mabunda. But tonight, she's not around. You know, when she's not here, she's actually going out to look for information, but also to look for, people who can share the story with us, but people who are able to actually inspire us with their journeys, with their stories. As people, we live in this world, we get challenges, we live our life, but there are people who rise up and go beyond, they go an extra mile, to make things happen. And these are the stories that we find very exciting. He's a very good friend of mine, Dr. Siyani. Dr. Siyani, welcome to the African Experience. I'm so excited to have you tonight. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Dr. Hlami. It is my pleasure. Good evening to listeners. I hope you will get something from this interview. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Of you, what should I say? It is long that we wanted, but the time was not really allowing. And I'm so excited that you managed to actually make the time tonight, and we are sitting here talking to one another. Maybe just a disclaimer, to the listeners. This is a woman that I got to know over 20 years ago, maybe 25 years. I can't even remember back then. I got to meet this woman while I was still working at Tompisilika College of Agriculture. I was still young by then. I had just started working, and I found myself, working at that college, and she was working there as well. There's so many things that I have learned from you. Maybe just before the show started, there are certain things that I thought to myself, this woman is brilliant. I learned a lot, and there are certain things that I'm still using today. But okay, I'm not the one who's presenting you. You are the one who's presenting yourself. Maybe let's tell the listeners a little bit of who you are. Who is Dr. Siyani Joyce Marima-Shihundla in a nutshell?
Thank you. Dr. Siyani Marima-Shihundla is a proudly South African woman, Mutsonga wa Xiviri, who's born and bred in South Africa. I was born in Joburg because my parents were working there, but our home was at Kahasani Dakari, a place that when you tell people that you are from Kahasani Dakari, they will ask you, where is it? But it's part of South Africa. And I started my schooling in Soweto at a combined school. It was a Sotho and Shangaan school called Mihlaleng, and proceeded to the rural country where I was supposed to be coming from to continue my schooling there. And I even forgot, I'm a seventh child out of 10 children of my father, but my father had 2 wives, so I'm the third born from my mother's side. And now I happen to be the last born because my 2 siblings are no more. I don't know.
No, we will get to know. We're going to unravel, that onion, because knowing you, and and because I know you personally, I know how deep a person you are, and we to really unravel that, because you multiple hats. And I feel so excited that, as we celebrate Women's Month, we get to talk to people like yourself, the people who are trailblazers in your own right. Okay, so maybe let's go back, to your academic journey. Yeah, because I know you have studied and you are a professional, but a professional in many ways. Just take us through your academic journey, and perhaps starting back, with the profession that you took back then and what inspired it, and we will taking it, slowly and slowly.
Just to encourage other people, I started working as a tea girl at a factory in Johannesburg, and I had matric by then. And the owner of the factory realized that I could read and write, and she motivated me by buying me novels to study. And I think that's where my inspiration for reading and studying began as a tea girl. So I still honor that being a tea girl, and if you want the best tea, I can make it for you. Anyway, from there, I went to become a nurse, and that was through also the motivation of my boss at that company. She could see that I had a potential of becoming something. So she encouraged me. She even bought me suitcases to say, no, 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 you don't belong here. So I'm a nurse who's trained as a general nurse and a midwife. And in midwifery, I liked catching babies, that privilege of receiving a child. You are the first one to catch a child, and I was even good at naming these children. If you tell me a name it's not blessing for a child, I would say, no, 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 this cannot be that child. So that's what I enjoyed. And I proceeded with my studies and became a community health nurse through me getting BA honors in nursing and specializing in community health nursing. And by then, my focus changed because I was no longer catching babies. I was dealing with youth. And let me also say that at that time, sexuality education was a no, 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 but because at the clinic where I was, I saw children as young as 12 years, 14 years coming to get contraception. I stood up and left the clinic and went to school to educate children that, life is not about sex. Sex will come at due time. And then it changed, although it was just a drop in an ocean. So I hold honors in nursing science. And after that, I attempted masters. What made me not complete my masters is that I was fighting with my supervisor because she wanted me to ask questions that were not cultural acceptable. So I said, I'm not going to belittle our people. So what? Then I moved and I did master's diploma in human resource management, which is equivalent to your honors in human resource management. And my zeal for learning didn't stop there. I advanced and I did a master's in business administration. And by that time, there were some signs that it's like God is calling me, and at that stage when I started doing MBA, it was like me, like Jonah, running to Tashish instead of going to Nineveh. It was like I was running away from my call, but anyway, I didn't run away from it because eventually I did theology, and I got masters in theology, and in the process.
Hold on there. Let's take it, step by step. So I'm actually following your trajectory because you started as a tea girl, then
Yes.
you are becoming a nursing, in the nursing profession where you are a general nurse, but then you further your studies to become a midwife and catching babies. Then you are doing, HR. Then you are moving, you are doing, MBA, and then from MBA, then you are changing, to theology. It's a very interesting story because this is a diverse, when we talk about somebody who's so broad and diverse, for me, that is a very good example of somebody who's diverse. Okay, so take us through. I just wanted to recap that so that our listeners, get to understand impela buku ayilumi. Buku ayilumi, you have to study, you find yourself. Okay, so take us through your journey and where you are studying theology then.
So I studied theology, and at that time I was also ministering at Tzaneen Correctional Services. My story about Tzaneen Correctional Services came as a dream. I always found myself preaching in prison, and people will just convert and receive Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. And when I applied to go to correctional services, I did not know, because in my dreams I would be preaching to women. But when I went to Tzaneen Correctional Services, it was only men. In my language, we called it Shiganzozo, with tattoos that could even swallow me. And I had to stand and proclaim the word of God. And the first time I was a bit said, can I really preach to these people? But God gave me that boldness, and they received the word, so that encouraged me.
Wow.
So
I'm looking back and I'm taking advantage of the fact that I have known you, I've worked with you. Before you started, studying theology, let's go back to where our path, crossed. That was at Tompisileka College of Agriculture. And I remember it vividly that when you stood and spoke, I listened. I was so encouraged by, how you will put, things, and how you will encourage students, and how you were so brilliant in the use of, stories and, analogies, just to actually change perceptions and people's mindset. Just take us through your journey at that time when you were at the college. What were you doing, and what inspired you to just use a different way of communicating?
thank you, Dr. Hlami. This reminds me of the day that I was interviewed at Tompisileka. People that don't know me, small, 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 small in stature. And when I arrived there, they interviewed me. They said, did you see these old men that are moving around here? These are your students. And how are you going to teach them? I said, I'm anointed with grace to be listened to. And that was a motivation to me. But I think it's a gift, Dr. Hlami, for me to be listened to. That's the gift that I have. Yes.
I can attest to that. I know it for sure. maybe just before we started the show, I also reminded you of some of the words that you'll use back then. And almost 25 years later, I'm still using, those words. And every time I utter that, I think of you because I know this is the person that I've heard, these words from. And thank you so much. I'm so grateful that, in our lives, our path really crossed in the manner that it crossed. 25 years later, we're still connected and I'm still learning. Um, okay, and I think we will come back again and with work that you're doing at the prison and all that. Let us go through your professional journey. So we're looking at the academic journey, the things that you have studied and all that. Your professional journey. Here you are working at the hospital, then you go to the College of Agriculture, and what happened next?
Okay, after the College of Agriculture, I went back to the Department of Health, not actually nursing. I was a policy developer by then because I was working as a deputy director for women's health. And as a deputy director for women's health, I was writing policies and yes, and making sure that the policies that we are writing that are being implemented. And this is the time that I will even go abroad to showcase about South African policies that we were developing. And like your contraception policy, like your termination of pregnancy, like your gender-based violence policies, those were the policies that I was spearheading.
And you were doing that at the national level, I remember.
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay. Now, fast forward. You study MBA. Yes, you study MBA, but these are not the only things that you studied. You also studied Hebrew. Yes, yes, I'm sure people are asking Hebrew. Yes, 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 Hebrew. Just take us through that journey. Where did it happen and why Hebrew of all the languages? Why did you choose Hebrew?
In Hebrew, when we say yes, we say again. And they, yes, 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 it emphasizes that you are really meaning it. So I will say again, again. So, yes. What motivated me or propelled me to study Hebrew? It was a dream. I used to have a dream and with a scroll being given to me, but I could not read what was written in the scroll. And one day this thing was magnified. I said to whoever was showing me, I could not see a person, but the hand that was showing me, I said, I can see what is written, but I cannot read what is written. Not that I don't see. I can see, but I can't read what is written. And among the other things that were magnified, it was the word YHWH. That was what I could pick up from those letters. And there was a name, Schneider, and a telephone number. Believe it or not, I took the telephone number, I wrote it down, and I called Schneider. When you are not sure whether this person exists or not. And I found that Dr. Schneider was an author of a book that was talking about the name of God. His name is Yahweh. He was the author of that book, and he encouraged me to say, I believe God is calling you to learn Hebrew. So I enrolled Hebrew. And when I enrolled, I didn't know that there were differences between modern Hebrew and biblical Hebrew. I just found it on the way. The Hebrew that they speak every day is not the same as what is in the Bible. It's like your New King James and your old King James version of the Bible.
Okay, so I'm very much interested in the story. Somebody might be listening here, is believing in dreams and all that. But what I'm picking in our conversation, you mentioned I dreamt twice. So it gives me a notion that, there's something special about your dreams, and it's not just a dream, but dream is a dream that lead you to something and all that. Am I correct to say that?
Yes, Dr. Hlami, you are. My dreams always have a message. And I remember when I was young, I was not allowed to share dreams in the presence of strangers because whatever I dreamt will come to pass. And maybe another thing that I can boast about these dreams is that they even helped me in the exams, because I never wrote an exam without knowing a exam question, because I would dream about the question before the exam came, and I would not hide it from anyone. I will tell them this is what is going to come from the exam, but people would not listen to me. Even if I found you studying, I said, this year you're wasting your time. This won't come from the question. You can just study to understand it. So that's me.
Beautiful one. I think I have to go back, to study, and I can be your friend again. It's very, very inspiring. So, okay, so let me take it one step further. Where did you study Hebrew?
I studied Hebrew online, but the University of Jerusalem in Israel, that's where I was studying. And for my modern Hebrew, on the way, I realized that the class does not serve me any good. It's just eating my money. I got a peer, Dolingo, who was teaching me more than my teacher. So,
Okay.
mm.
Very interesting. This is very, very interesting. I find it very fascinating because in the world that we are living in, the people can study. There are a lot of, online courses and things like that. And you appear to me as somebody who believes in personal development. You believe that for you to be good at what you do, you have to invest in yourself. Yeah. And I know that, even back then, I mean, you were studying this and you're doing MBA and all this. So you believe that for you to be good at what you do, you have to enrich yourself with knowledge and whatever it is. And I think that is something that we are lacking, today. What would you say around that, especially that we are talking to women, mostly because we are celebrating Women's Day, I mean, Women's Month, but also talking to
I
men
will
who...
encourage women that, we must not stay behind. We must move with times. Because, say, for instance, I had stopped learning when I became a professional nurse. I would not know most of the things that I know now, but we must move with change to adapt. So it's sometimes difficult, but we have to, and there's never an age that is too old for somebody to learn.
I hear you. And what would you say?
You are frozen, Dr. Hlami. I didn't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Now, I was saying, what message do you have for somebody who's listening, who might be saying, yeah, I would like to invest in myself, but I don't know where to start. I'm waiting for somebody to do that for me. what would you tell to that somebody?
Just taking a step, one single step will take you where you want to go. One single step.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
One step at a time, one step at a
Mhm.
time. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to this powerhouse. Her name is Dr. Siyani Joyce Marima-Shihundla. As I indicated when I introduced her, that, this is a woman of multiple talents and multiple hats. She's wearing multiple hats. She started as a nurse. Then she did yeah, she was a midwife, so to say, really helping to deliver babies. And I just love how she says it, that, just to be that first person to catch, that baby and all that. But she went ahead and studied, MBA, but she realized her calling in theology, where she studied theology and even went, to really understand, the Bible and things like that, and really study, Hebrew and all that. But you did not end there. You are also an author. DJ Messi, if you are able to show maybe some of the pictures, I think you have authored 2 books, right? Maybe
Yes, definitely. And I'm working on the third one, but
you're working on the third one. Oh,
yes.
ladies and gentlemen, if you are listening and you have not written anything, DJ Messi, I actually want, I like that smile. There we go. Is this the first one? Are you able to
No,
see?
this is the second one,
Okay, let's start with the other one, DJ Messi, the other book,
the blue one.
the blue one. There we go. Are these the words that you saw in your dream or not?
Yes, these are the words that I saw in my dream, but they didn't have an A and an E,
I
because
see.
in Hebrew we don't put consonants.
I see.
Mm.
Okay, so take us through what was going in your mind when you decided to write this book, and what is it all about before we go to the second one. You say a call to restore his authentic name, Yahweh.
Yes, our God of the universe has a name. It's just like you and I, who are called people, and each one of us have a name.
Mm,
So God's name is not God.
mm,
God is his nature. It's like we are human beings.
mhm,
God has a name that is called Yahweh. And if I were to preach, I would say we get it in the book of Exodus chapter 3, but let's forget about it. When he was speaking to Moses, Moshe, he said, I am that I am, and it means Yahweh. It
mm,
means he's God who's self-existing, God who is a creator, and
mm,
God who's ever becoming what he is.
mm,
And to each one of us, we attach some meanings to God, and that's what he wants us to understand.
mm.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think I have briefly.
Yes. So this is what these are some of the things that you are unpacking, in through the book.
Yes, yes.
And what have you learned in your journey of writing a book? Or maybe this
In
particular. Mm,
in writing this particular book, it was more of let me say, I have never been. I'm not a woman of fear, but when I was writing this book, I was writing in fear. And what made me to be more afraid is that when we're in a class one day, I asked, because if you saw those your things which looks like your N and what,
mm,
they read Yahweh, but we're told that we must read them as Adonai. So I asked in the classroom, why do we have to read this not as Yahweh, but as Adonai? Because you taught me, it's like a sub-A child who's clever. You tell him your name is David, but then you write Petrus and you expect the child to read David when you said this is David.
Yes.
So I observed the reaction of my lecturer. He literally changed, became red and said, never bring this topic in this classroom. So I realized that this must be serious. But every time when I was supposed to read, because what we also do in the class was you exercise reading. I would not be able to read Adonai, where is written Yahweh. I'll read Yahweh, and that will make my lecturer very angry. So I learned to be bold because I had to stand for what I was called to reveal. So these are deep and hidden things that are there in the Bible, but these are deep and unsearchable things that God chooses to reveal to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I can feel also the depth, of that, even as we are communicating now. So if there's somebody who's listening and they would like to read through the book, where do they find it?
It is available on Amazon.
Okay.
They can also get it from me personally.
Yes.
I tried to sell them, but shops were like my Hebrew teachers, they didn't like my.
Yeah. No, but I'm sure people, DJ Messi will also maybe give, where people can find you to really get, this revelation and all that. Out of the people that might have read the book now, what is the reaction that you get?
When the book was published on Amazon, I used to get a lot of comments, and I think when I revised the book, I'll also put those comments. People were grateful because some were saying that we were wondering who is God, but today we know who God is.
Then fast forward your second book that you actually published, this year. It's pretty new. DJ Messi, show us, the other book.
The white one.
The white one. And what inspired, the second book, and what is it about?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Hlami. What inspired this book is also my little bit knowledge of Hebrew. I'm not saying I'm an expert in Hebrew, but what I know in Hebrew has opened my eyes to read a Bible in another perspective.
I see.
So this book is about the divine puzzles of the genealogy of the Messiah. And what inspired this, I was just seated one day, like revising Hebrew. And the exercise that I chose was to go through the genealogy of the Messiah and write the names and translate each name into English. So when I translated, I found that these names are like there's a symphony of something.
Okay.
They have so powerful meaning. And each name connected to each other. It's not just a mistake that these names are just like that. So I felt this is not for me only. Other people also need to know about that.
Yeah.
So that's why I wrote this book.
You know what? I see Siyani here, the beautiful title, the title itself is actually catchy. The divine puzzle of the genealogy of the Messiah, a revealed mystery. I'm just reading, this title and I'm feeling, okay, I would like to to read more and I want to, yeah. Have you managed to launch? And I remember you wanted to launch, but things happened in between. Have you launched the book as yet, or are you still going to launch it?
I have launched it, but I have not yet taken it to Amazon.
Mm-hmm. So,
Mm.
yeah, ladies and gentlemen, there we go. This is so deep. This is so deep. It's not just an ordinary writing. It's really deep. It's something that comes from, if I were to say it, Xitsonga swi huma empfungwe. And you just said to me, you are working on your third book.
Yes.
What are you? Do you feel comfortable to tell us about it? Maybe what the title is and what the book it's all about?
The title, I'm not so sure because sometimes I think I have a title, but at the end, I hear from above that this is not the right title.
Mm,
But when you read your Bible, if you read your Psalm 119, which is the longest chapter in the Bible,
mm,
there are 22 sections in the Bible that start with your Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Het. So those are sections, the divisions of the Psalm 119. This is what I'm writing the book about. And I looked in many Bibles, it's no longer there. It's like just like taking oxygen out of water.
I see. I see. I see. So you kind of, going back to the origins and bringing, that oxygen and water together. It's a very interesting thing because we are talking now with you as the powerful person that you are. And there might be some people who are listening, and we see a lot of, religions that are mushrooming, prophets here, and I don't know what and stuff. But as I'm talking to you, it goes deeper than somebody who wakes up today and say "Mfundisi" and things like that. And what is your take around that?
I believe that being you just don't decide overnight to say tomorrow I'm going to start a church. You must have been led by God to do that.
That deeper calling, that deeper calling.
That deeper calling.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, you know that, during the show, we always ask our guests, to choose the theme. And you chose a very beautiful theme, and I just like how you play around with your words. He rewrote my life. That was the theme that you chose. Why? Because this is so deep. He rewrote my life, and I assume that he is God, or Yahweh rewrote your life. And what does tell us a little bit more why you chose, that theme, and what does it mean for you?
Thank you, Dr. Hlami, for that question. Knowing where I come from that very rural village where we didn't even have a school, we had to go like 10 kilometers to go to another village for a school. And God choosing me among all these people to be his servant. I call myself his servant. For this is the mercy of God. This is his grace. And It is all His doing.
Mm.
And he's writing my life in order to inspire others.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we call you Dr. Siyani Joyce Marima-Shihundla. Where does that, title of the doctor comes from?
Thank you very much. On the day that title was announced to me in my secret place, I was taking some forms, wanting to apply to do doctorate, and I had a whisper saying, "Don't do it, I will give it to you."
Mm. Yeah.
So
Mm.
this comes from the books that I am writing. The professors that come across these books, they really stand in awe and say, this woman is really a servant of God. She does not need to crack her head and do all statistics to get a doctorate. We will give her. So it
Yeah.
comes from the work that I'm doing, and more especially from the work that I was doing in prison. What I was doing in prison that was different from other prison is that when you are a child of God and have received Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, you need to be baptized.
Mm. Mm.
And in prison, there's no swimming pool.
Mm.
Or in the prison that I worked, there was no swimming pool. But I could arrange that we have a baptism in the prison, and the prisoners will also have Holy Communion. And I
Yes.
remember one day I went with only 1 liter of juice so that we have a Holy Communion, because my congregation, I think, were 30 by then. But
Mm.
on that day, because no, juice is it's something special in prison. When other prisoners saw me coming with juice,
Mm.
we became 60. But Dr. Hlami, believe it or not, I had the tumblers were almost 60.
Mm.
Each of us had a tumbler full of juice from that 1 liter. And that made more people to come and listen to the word of God.
Mm.
So the prison warders were aware of what was happening when I was ministering.
Mm.
And some people who have been beaten when they were coming to prison, their ear and become deaf, their ears will be opened. So that was not my doing, it was God's doing that earned me this doctorate.
Wow. This is so, 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 so profound. This is so beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to a very experienced, a very knowledgeable, and a very divine, person, Dr. Siyani Joyce Marima-Shihundla. I'm just loving, the how versatile you are. I'm just loving, your story and how you even remain as humble as you are. I mean, I've known you definitely for, over 25 years now. And every time we meet, you are still, that Siyani that I know. Yes, we are celebrating Women's Month, or maybe we are even going into the end of, Women's Month. What are some of, the messages that you'd like to give, maybe advice to women out there?
Instead, the way God created us, we've got power. And in most cases, we tend to undermine our capabilities.
Mm.
And we've got potential, and we don't unleash our potential. We don't want to stretch ourselves. We want to live in a comfort zone that will keep you miserable. So I will encourage Bomama to say, let us unleash our potentials. God has given us this wisdom. We are wise.
Mm. Absolutely. I just want to put you on the spot here. There is a story that you once shared with me back then. You know that story, Yalwe Woti Nwaya?
Yes,
Yeah, because
I remember that.
I still use that, that story. I would like you to share the story because I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this woman is full of stories. She has a lot of stories. When she talks, she use parables, and stories. And there is this story that is really stuck in my head, which I would like you to share with the listeners tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Hlami.
Mm.
This story is about somebody who had a double-story house by then, and he has lost some business deals, and he also had an accident and lost his arm. So one day he was standing on top of his double-story roof, wanted to like kill himself. And when he looked down, he saw somebody who was like dancing. And when he looked at this person didn't have hands. So he said, okay, before I kill myself, let me go and see this person. What is he doing? And when he arrived, he realized that that person has been living without hands for the rest of his life. And there was something biting him. That's why he was dancing. And he realized that life is not worth losing for just lacking one limb.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yes, I mean that story. I remember, when we're together and you were also showing, and I think maybe even how you said it that time was that he was even like thinking and saying, but that person is dancing, only to find that the
Mhm.
person was not dancing. He just wanted somebody to scratch,
To
his
scratch his back.
he was not able to do that. And the
Mhm.
moral of the story really is that, as people, we all have, different challenges, some big, some small. And if we look around, we get, inspiration, everywhere. I just love, 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 love that. Yo, when we are having fun in this show, time just, go by. It goes by like that. And let's speak to youth because I know that, throughout your work, you also have a very special heart, for young people. What would you say to somebody, a young person who's listening to us, today?
What I will say to them is that they must believe in themselves
Mm,
and they must not be moved by peers. And if you know your identity, there's no way that you can be moved by other people.
mm,
So yes, that's what I can say to youth. Believe
mm.
in yourself.
Yeah.
You are
And
fearfully and wonderfully made.
Amen. Yes, yes, yes. Maybe one day we will have, the poetry session, I mean, poetry. I write, poems and things like that. And I think with the depth, that you do have, you could have messages, for everybody, for our leaders, the church. And um I'm looking at, the challenges that we are having in our country, unemployment rate and the loss of, the moral, the social, fiber or moral and there are so many things that, are happening in our country at the moment. And where do you think we need to be going as a country from your
As this
own
as,
experience?
as this as this country, we've got good policies, but we don't implement them.
Mm,
One of the policies that I'll refer to is moral regeneration.
yep.
We have a policy, we've got principles of moral regeneration, but we don't implement.
Mm.
And another thing that brings a challenge is that as parents, we have left our children to be taught by streets and not by us. And we expect them to have morals that we want them to have, but yet when we are at home, we don't talk about morals.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I hope, the listeners, those who are listening, they hear that, because it's not only the responsibility of the government, but we need a collective, responsibility for what is happening in our country. And that is really, really very deep. Yeah, I know I've asked a lot of questions. What is it that is still in your heart? It might not be something that I have asked, but you think, this is very important for you to share with the listeners tonight.
What I can say is that I don't know, I'm not imposing on my beliefs, but the fear of the Lord is the beginning of all wisdom.
Mm.
And if we can have the love of God, the love of Jesus Christ of Nazareth in our hearts, and be able to implement it, because as society, we have sexual assault, maybe let me call it rape for being simple. If you love your next person, you will not rape them.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So love covers multitude of sins. I don't know how we can go back to that love for each other in the community where we used to care for one another as a community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I remember, when we grew up, it was very easy as children to run around, and we'll say, "Wana anga," it takes a village, to raise
To
a child.
raise a child.
To that. That is
Mm.
very true. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the African Experience. You are with me, Dr. Hlami Ngwenya. I am with a wonderful, wonderful person, Dr. Siyani Joyce Marima-Shihundla. This person is so versatile. There is also one thing, because I know that we have not mentioned. Let's talk about Siyani the farmer.
Yo, the farmer in me is dying gradually, Mama Hlami.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's because now I do multitask, but it's difficult to do the current job that I'm doing and also run a farm.
Yeah.
I am a farmer. I own a farm. And of late, I was doing chicken farming, but it's not doing so well. But I know when I stand on my feet, everything will come to its strength.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
current job, you're still working in the health sector and health space?
Yes, I'm working for Anova Health Institute, which is funded by USAID as an externalized, and my role is to go around, motivate people and talk to people. So, and link my organization with other people.
Yeah. No, because
Mm.
that is the profession that, you really started with, the health and all.
Mhm.
And what are
Mhm.
some of, the maybe let's make the measure highlights, in your life so far, and what are some of, those positive things where you say, every time when I wake up in the morning, I'm really looking forward to the day because of, those measure highlights that you can talk about?
What a difficult question. Thank you, Dr. Hlami. The major highlight is just to make a difference in somebody's life. There's no day that I don't make a difference in somebody's life. And people might not tell you today that, on that day when you greeted me and you said this and this, I was very down. But in 3 weeks' time, when they meet you, they will tell you that they called me Mama S where I work. Mama S, on such a day, you really made me feel I belong. So those you live to motivate other people, even if you don't know that you're motivating them.
Yeah.
But they get motivated.
I can
I
attest.
was we had a wellness day one day at work, and one of the gentlemen stood up and said, today I am what I am because she challenged me to study.
Yeah.
I hold what I have because she challenged me to study.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of those who didn't see themselves, who came to work as lay counselors. Today they're social workers, and some even went back to nursing because of the motivation that they got.
Yeah.
So
I can attest to that. I can attest to that. I remember, like really going back, 25 years back, when we were working together. There's still so many things that that I could say you motivated me. And not even forgetting that you used to give me lift. So maybe I have to tell the listeners, I was still young, I don't even have a car. And we are working in Marble Hall. I mean, Dompisilika is really, really far. And at weekends, then I would like to go home. Hey, and hitchhiker. This woman would always give me lift. I remember you give me lift from Dompisilika and you drop me in Polokwane and you will go to Tanini and and I will go, to Giyani. Those are the moments that I never forget. I don't take it lightly because you carried me at the time where I was lacking, I didn't have, and you would encourage me. I remember with just the few Tonga, speaking, people there, you'll encourage me, you can do this. So thank you so much, that you have been part of my life from then. Even now, when we meet, you still encourage me. And I really, really appreciate it. I don't take it lightly. And I can attest, to some of the people that you are working with who are calling you Mama S, because you are just, that person who believes in caring, and lifting, other people. Yo, Nkarwai, Tutumela. So we only have, just 4 minutes, left. I just want to give you an opportunity just to share anything that is in your heart, which you want to the listeners to know.
anything that is in my heart, I want to say that we are all very important in the eyes of God. And I know that now I'm speaking as a prophet. I know that as we are listening, there's somebody who says, how can I do it in the mess that I'm finding myself in? I just want to tell them that God loves you. And in whatever you are going through, trust in Him. One day you look back and say, I have passed through here. When He says, we go through the fires, He's with us. When we go through the waters, He's with us. He does not mean literally us going through the waters, but in the situations of the storms of lives. And we must not give up because the best is yet to come in our lives, and we are capable. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. You are also speaking to us. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful words of encouragement. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the African experience. We are telling the African stories in the African way. We are talking, to really, really powerful people who are making it in their spaces in the different ways. Tonight, we're talking to Dr. Siyani Joyce Marima-Shihundla, a person of many hats, a person who never leaves, the stone unturned, a person who believes in herself, a person who invests, in herself. And I'm like, hey, maybe before we go, I know Hebrew. Can you speak it? Can you speak Hebrew a little bit?
In Hebrew, when we say yes, I said it's ken.
Can.
Ani medaberet kasat ifrit. I can speak a little bit Hebrew. I can speak a little bit Hebrew.
A little bit.
I won't die of thirst. I won't die of hunger when I'm with Hebrews. I will express myself. They will hear me. The accent is just but they pronounce like us.
Okay, they do.
They're not nasal and
I love that. I love that. I know, and beside Hebrew, you speak so many languages, I mean, almost, I think, all the South African languages you are able to speak.
Yes, I do.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Siyani Joyce Marima-Shihundla. Perhaps maybe we invite you again on the show where we really unpack, the books and the books. Before we go, where can people find you? If people want to invite you either as a motivational speaker or they want to find your books, where can they find you?
I'm on Facebook, but not very active for some reasons. But they can I can share my personal email if they want to. It's siyanima@gmail.com.
Okay,
Yes.
so it's an easy one.
But not so long I would be active on Facebook and YouTube. But
Yes.
now I'm still concentrating on something.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you so, so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we have time for tonight. And thank you for spending, this hour with us and really sharing and pouring your heart out. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we see each other next week, same time, same place. We'll be bringing you yet another powerhouse as we wrap up, the Women's Month. We're talking anything and everything around women things matters, and we're talking to powerful women. Thank you, and thank you so much, and God bless. Thank you so much, Dr. Siyani, for spending some
stay
time with
blessed,
us.
all